Good morning, everyone, and welcome once again to our Sunday morning support group here with the SonRise Project. As always, I'm so happy you're all here with us today on this beautiful Sunday in a safe space that is really committed to helping us all grow and learn and heal, starting with ourselves and also our families. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And this morning, I am super delighted to have with us Karen McCoy, who is an award-winning international speaker who shares her wisdom with thousands of listeners on being resilient in the face of adversity and finding joy on the journey, which is so perfect for today and for what we are all trying to do. We want to find joy on the journey. As you can see, I am outdoors today, having a wonderfully joyful wedding weekend for a dear friend whose daughter got married yesterday. And looking for that joy, trying to choose joy every day, joy on the journey. So I love this conversation today. Karen counsels mothers about the personal journey to renew joy after losing a child. She openly shares her struggles after the death of two children and her granddaughter. On earning a Bachelor's of Science degree in business management with concentration in leadership, she earned a Master of Arts in Religious Studies. With those formal degrees, she has earned a doctorate in navigating through the tragic vicissitudes of motherhood as life. And that is the best graduate school ever. And I completely agree. Living through drama and trauma is a big master's degree or a PhD, quite honestly. I think that's incredible. As a resilience strategist, the author assists women in discovering God-given gifts through the tragedies suffered in life following the loss of a child and knowing there is still joy even in the inconsolable pain of death's heartbreak. She also uses art therapy to build a strong relationship by slapping paint on paper. That is trademarked, and that is her creative brand, slapping paint on paper. And I can't wait to hear more about that. And I want to do that. We want to do that with you. Um, Karen McCoy resides in Clayton, Alabama, with her husband, William, and six lovable Rottweilers, Lauren Ruth, Boaz, Lily Rose, Brandy, Buster, and Sienna Grace. She is the mother of seven children, two of whom have their earthly home in their parents' hearts, and two bonus children. She loves reading good books and occasionally watching funny movies. The author desires to help mothers having lost children by tragic death to know that there is life after the death of a child and to live those following years as much as is the will of the Almighty by humbling to his purpose only. Wow. So with that, I want to say welcome, Karen McCoy. Welcome to the SonRise Project. I'm so happy you are here with us this morning from Clayton, Alabama, as I'm calling in from Curacao. So all across two different parts of the world. And really, thank you for getting up early and thank you for being here with us this morning. I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome, Kelly. It's my pleasure.
You're here. I want to start by asking you to share your story. Share your story. I touched on pieces of it, a little bit of it, some of the tragedy, but can you share your story about your children and some of the tragedies that you have faced?
Listen, let me tell you, one thing that I've learned about life is that it comes with a lot of pain. I am I'm the mother of, like you read, seven children. Two of my children on the front end I had when I was 14 and one when I was 16. So I started life real early. And when I learned what life could do, I kind of left that part of life alone and closed that door down, if you get my drift. Um, but along the journey with having to navigate being a mother so young and then being in what I like to call um, dysfunctional chaos now on the other side of it. Um, I didn't know what to do, didn't know how to really handle being a mother because you got to keep in mind, like I said, I was 14 and 16. Now,
Mm,
I do know that my children were my world and they gave me joy even before I even knew that I needed joy. They gave me a purpose even
hmm
before I thought I needed a purpose. Because at 14 and 16, what are girls doing? They're going to, the proms, they're having little spats with school, and here it is. I couldn't do any of that. I had to rush home because I had a baby, and then I had two babies. And the only
hmm
thing that I knew that I wanted was to finish school. So
hmm
along that journey, my second daughter, my uncle and aunt adopted her and gave me a little bit of a window to continue on down that path. So you look at December the 17th, having one daughter in 1982, and then August the 6th in 1988. I'm sorry, 1984. Don't shoot me, Nicole. But having so that close, right? And so when you think about it, you don't expect to really know what you want for yourself that young. Now you got two other people that you're trying to think about their future. Like, what does that look like for them? So I knew I needed to make a decision in life going forward. And so when you fast forward past that, make sure you keep that December 17th, 1982, first daughter. And we're gonna hold that one, right? And so when you fast forward, I got married. I had three more children. Um, and what woman dreams of divorce? Okay, so at this point, we have two children, got married, had another child, which was LaPortia, and then we had Joshua, which was born December 17th, 1990. Okay,
So
so we got
two children with the same birthday, 8 years apart.
two children with the same birthday. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And how old were you when you got married?
Oh, 18?
So you had the babies, the first two babies at 14 and 16, and got married at 18, and then
Correct.
had three more children. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So we're going down this, and at this point in time, I'm basing my life on now. Then the Cosby Show came on. We got Claire, we got Cliff, and we got all the kids, and it's like, okay, that looks like a nice life, But in reality, those are scripts that are written. But for me, it took me a long time to get my mind in reality, right? So you can't think about it in the sense of, oh, wow, Claire, it works for Claire and Cliff. So they got kids, doctors, lawyers. So okay, I got kids, doctors, let's say they want to be doctors, lawyers, whatever. We have dreams for our children. I had dreams for my children even though I was a child, right? I believe I
That's
had dreams
right.
for children before I even had a dream for myself, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I lived that life knowing what this big old facade was that I personally had put in my mind. It's on my vision board, it's on the wall, it's on the refrigerator, it's in the back of my mind, front of my mind, and that's what I wanted. But how many of y'all know that your kids don't want what you want, right? They don't even want to get up in the morning when you want them to get up in the morning. So you fast forward through all of that, and now we have Tanika. Nicole is with us, but she's in Alabama here. And we have LaPortia, and we have Joshua. And somewhere along the line, something happened in life, and then twins popped up. That's kind of like the way I like to say it. So, because Joshua was only 8 months old when I got pregnant with the twins, 7 or 8 months old when I got pregnant with twins, right? So we got first half, two sets of kids that are close. Now we got twins and Joshua. So it's like having three kids. Now, I didn't have a group like this. I didn't have a group of mothers. I had military spouses because my ex-husband was in the military. He was in the Navy. And you had people that looked at you and you had to have it all together. When you walked out the door, you had to have it all together, right? So you got to make sure your family stay in line. So instead of looking at what these kids needed, I was looking at what society said I needed the package to look like. Um, it wasn't that my kids were terrible, they were bad, or anything like that. But there were things that would happen, and I would judge myself as a parent. And then I would literally start grading myself and just like, man, you're an F, you're an F today. Like I couldn't get past the F for raising kids. But I've learned now, basing myself on the way I had been raised. And again, the little bit of the Cosby Show, which was not real, right? And always trying to live up to a standard that I just didn't know how to do. So on August the 24th, we're gonna fast forward now. I'm divorced, mother of 6 kids during the divorce, 6 kids. And I just was looking for something better for my children. Because remember, I said I got married at 18. And you get married for the comfortability of what feels good in the moment. My grandmama told me I can't shack, so I had to get married. So we can't do that stuff. So we got to go and, okay, well, we're going to marry this man. Why not? All right. You know what that looks like, right?
At 19, right? Because you don't even really know who you are yet.
Right, right. So now we
Mm-hmm.
fast forward. Now I'm divorced, and we had
Mm-hmm.
challenges, but in my family with my kids, it was never a dull moment. I wanted my kids to still see the family dynamic. So me and their father, we kept a good, what I call then good working relationship. But on the other side of it, now looking back at it, it was kind of the worst thing I probably could have done for myself. But how
Yes.
many of we don't think about our,
Yes.
we think about
No.
our children, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so I really right now want to pause and say, if you're listening now and you have children, you have a child, or you're mothering somebody, think about you first. Like if you don't have the joy in your life,
Mm-hmm.
the kid is gonna feel that. And my kids, I tell my daughters, um, y'all were raised in chaos. So when things are
Mm,
easy and when things are supposed to be good, the normal person will be like, well, girl, what's wrong? What's the problem? And so I had to realize my children were raised in chaos. So they are always trying to figure out, well, what's the best way to do this, the best way to do that, because that's how I did it. I was raising
mm-hmm.
trying to figure that out. And so they saw what chaos looked like. And I don't think they ever got to see a mother who was calm.
Mm,
Oh, it's you running from football games. The boys play football games. The girls cheer, chorus, all. Remember now, I got 6 kids.
mm-hmm.
Everybody
Mm,
doing their own thing, and everybody has their own personalities, and everybody wants what they want.
mm-hmm.
I felt like everybody should have been. They got one mama, and everybody should have been on my page, not their page, right?
Right. Right.
So it didn't work out that way. So but at the end of the day, that was my life, and that is still my life. My kids are my world, and I was still happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I just learned how to function in the chaos, not realizing I was teaching them how to function in the chaos, right?
Right. They watch everything. Mm-hmm.
Every single thing, and they pick it up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think when they're 2, they pick up things. Whew,
Mm-hmm.
they're 15, 16. And then when they flip it back on you and say, well, you doing it, why can't I do it? I'm just like, oh, okay.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
And then you go back on the thing what your parents say, well, don't do as I do, do as I say, which is one of those belief systems that I hate. I can't stand it. Um,
Right. I don't either.
yeah. So when you
And
move
you,
forward, I'm sorry, you had a question?
no, no, but you had, you go ahead.
Okay. So when you move forward, August 24th, 2007, my world crashed. Nothing prepared me for August the 24th, 2007, around about 6:30, 6:40, something like that. I had just gotten off from work. I was living in Atlanta, and I had moved there to help my oldest daughter. She had decided to go back to college. Um, Another one of those, I feel like she was doing what I wanted her to do. I don't feel like it was something she wanted to do. But she was going back to school, and guess what? She was going to school to be a what? A doctor, a pediatrician. So, in truth, if I could have a conversation with her right now, I would ask her, is that really what you want to do? Or was that one of those stipulations that I kind of made you feel like you had to do? Not,
Mm-hmm.
you're not sure, not sure. So when you move forward past that, as I stand there, I had got off of work early, and my transmission went out on the car. This is the saving grace right here. Transmission goes out on the car, and some people are like, that's not a saving grace, but keep going. The car gets up the hill. If you know anything about a car, driving in Atlanta with a transmission being out is kind of hard. But this is
Mm,
a journey right now. This is God really orchestrating what is coming forth. So when I get to the apartments, police everywhere. And I'm trying to figure out, oh my goodness, what done happened around here? I got off. It's Friday. I'm going to go in, talk to my granddaughter. We were planning her birthday, which was coming up, and we were talking about going to Chuck E. Cheese. Well, I was met with a police officer. And the police officer said, "Are you Miss Brown?" Because I wasn't married then. And I was like, "Yes." And she said, "Well, can we go down to the leasing office and talk?" And so I was at this point looking like, no, well, what's going on? You tell me what's going on. What's the problem? And my daughter had just broken up with a young man. So things start going through my head. And so I was just like,
mm,
so the leasing office lady said, Karen, can you just go to the office with them? And I was like, no, whatever y'all got to tell me. At this point, I got real defensive. It was like, just tell me right here. Not knowing that when that lady said this, she said, there are two unidentified females in your apartment and they're dead. I fainted.
mm,
So that
mm,
an office that they were trying to get me in, that's where I woke up in that office.
mm,
And so
mm,
I had to wait on things. It's not like it is in the movie. They get the warrant and right then you go on through this thing. And I had to wait hours. It was like about 9 o'clock by the time they got in the apartment. And then the leasing office had already told me. I was like, well, who is it? Who is it? Whatever. Because they said two unidentified females. So I still, in my mind, is like, not my daughters, not my granddaughter, whatever. So the police officer said that, yes, it's identified as your daughter and your granddaughter. So my world was like spinning. And I was just like, God, what in the world? Like, what? What do you want me to do? What? Like, I had no words really. I had a friend that was there with me. And then I remember getting on the phone, calling my pastor, telling him what had happened. And he's like, I'm getting ready to preach, but everything's okay. It's all right. And so I got off the phone and I hung it up. And I was like, this not happening. My pastor said everything's okay, and his word was gold. So the police came by first. And then as I was standing at the door, the coroner came by. And it was two, because it was two white vans, and I had coroner on the side. And I remember falling into my friend's arms, just screaming, because at this point, it's like, what? So I was paralyzed. And it's like, what are you going to do? Couldn't breathe, couldn't talk. And then in my mind, it's like, wait, you got to call her dad. You got to tell her siblings. Wait, you got to tell her grandmother. You got all these people that you have to say these words. I couldn't even speak. I couldn't even formulate these words for myself. So how in the world am I getting ready to get on the phone and tell people a word that I couldn't say? It took me about 5 years before I could say my daughter and granddaughter are dead. Couldn't say it. I called my ex-husband, and I remember getting on the phone and I was like, they're gone. They're gone. And he's like, gone where? And I was like, Tanika and Alyssa, they're gone. And he's like, gone where? And all I could say was, gone with your mother, because my mother-in-law had passed already.
mm,
And that was the way I told
mm,
my ex-husband that they were dead, because I couldn't say they were dead. Couldn't say it. So,
mm.
um,
I'm so sorry. I cannot even imagine how that felt and still feels.
well, I was going to say, yeah, it's one of those things. That's why I say when I was talking early to Dee, it's the conversation that I have to have, knowing that I have to
Hmm.
have the conversation, because there's mothers that need to know that you can still get up, right? You can still show up in the world as your authentic self. Don't let society put norms on you that are not yours, right? But you see, my daughter committed murder suicide. So
Mm,
having to deal with that,
mm,
that was a problem. That was a problem for me. And it's still
mm,
for me 17 years later. It's still a problem for me. Um, I can still get paralyzed, like as I sit here and talk to you now, like I still get choked up. It gets stuck in the throat.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah. But as life went on, because for me, walking away from not one but two casket, life, everybody around me, life was going on. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out how am I going to move forward? Like, what does that,
mm,
what does that look like? Right.
right.
Um, so I had to get some resemblance of myself together because remember, I still had other
Other
children.
children. I was gonna say you have other children, and I was about to ask you this question, like, how did you move forward? Because, and the word that you used saying I was paralyzed, um, I can imagine, imagine. Uh, and
Well,
cannot really, but that how did you find the strength to move forward? Was it because of the other children?
I wish I could say yes. I wish I could say yes, but um, I had, let's see, one, two, three were grown. Nicole was grown. LaPortia was in college. So I really had Joshua, the twins, and Andrew, because somewhere in there I got in a relationship and I had my youngest son. So they were the ones that were but they were with their father. So it wasn't that I had to get up in the morning and tend to them. So it was just kind of me. Um, but so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why they wasn't the ones that kind of lifted me up because they were with their dad
Mm,
and I couldn't get up some days. I remember my drink of choice, and look, it was coffee. Coffee is my drink. But to go to work, I remember putting Grand Marnier in my coffee. So this is how this journey started
mm-hmm.
back up. So this is life after the funeral. This is life after walking away from the cemetery. This is after. And I'm trying to do it because there's no blueprint of how to do this, right?
Mm-mm.
And I'm not going to say the church failed me. What I'm going to say is my pastor was like the godfather to my children. So he lost. So when I would call
Mm,
get encouragement and talk to him, then he's crying, I'm crying. It's just like, oh my goodness, I can't do this, right? So I went to counseling, and I remember telling my elder, this blankety blank hurts and I don't want to do. And he just put his hands up. He's like, don't say it. Don't say it. I was like, oh, I'm over it. God already knows I'm thinking it. He's like, but don't say it. So we went through some things, talked or whatever. I went back to work and I went on and act like life didn't happen to me. Right. And I remember I transferred now. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm at the bank. And the lady came through. I don't know if y'all remember Family Christian Bookstore, but she would come through the commercial line and I would, do her stuff every day. But she came this in particular day and she gave me this book. And it was something on the title. I can't remember the exact title, but it was something about after death or living after death, something like that. I lost it at work. I just lost it. And the people at my job, they didn't know what had happened. Because here's the thing, you don't talk about suicide. Well, then, we're talking 17 years ago, we didn't talk about it. And for it to happen to me, I was embarrassed. I was even more so embarrassed because it was murder suicide. So I didn't talk about it at all. Right. So nobody at my job knew what's happening. And then here it is, I'm crying like a river of tears. And I remember my daughter, my husband now, they kind of got in the conversation and, mom broke down at work, whatever, whatever. So he was just, fast forward, was just like, hey, come to Germany, hang out, whatever. It was like, dude, coming to Germany? I barely know you. You want me to come to Germany? What? Okay. But going to Germany saved my life. Germany, I didn't have to get up if I didn't want to get up. I didn't have to do anything. And the thing, Kelly, I got to hide. I got to hide real good.
mm-hmm.
I got to
Mm-hmm.
go back to church. I didn't feel like nobody knew me. Nobody knew what had happened. Nobody knew my name. Um,
Mm,
and it was a thing because when I would go to church, my church, everybody knew what had happened to me.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't like not being able to cry in church without them saying, "Oh, well, this is, you know how it is. You got all this
Yes.
story in your head. So, but Germany saved my life. I was over there for 6 months. When you
Mm,
don't want to travel and visa, you're only supposed to be over there 3 months. But by the same
okay,
grace of God, I was there for 6 months, and that's all I can
that's
say,
great.
right?
It
Uh,
worked. You were able to rediscover and heal,
I
start to
was.
heal.
I was.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not where a lot of things happen. So let's fast forward through all the things, got married, life, kind of still coming up, still not really where I needed to be. But then life happened again. October the 4th, 2019, my world was greatly impacted in the worst way. And it was worldwide. It was like I couldn't grieve in private. So now the phone call says, um, he's dead. October the 4th, 2019. He's dead. Wait. Yes, they said Joshua's dead.
What?
My son was killed at his apartment. He was,
Wait, so this is after the baby and your daughter and the granddaughter. This
so
was your son, one of the first two kids you had, correct?
no, no. So to the
Mm,
first two kids I have was Tanika and Nicole. They were two girls.
okay,
Joshua was my first son.
got it. Okay.
Joshua and Tanika were
Mm,
born December the 17th. So
got
both
it.
of my December 17th babies are gone.
Mm, mm.
Mhm,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
mhm. So Christmas, while everybody's getting ready for Christmas, I'm dreading December.
Mm,
Mhm. But my question was, he's gone now. Okay, God, really? Like we're having a very comical moment at this point. I didn't cry. I screamed out, and
mm,
like, okay, all right. I kind of know what this feels like, but the feelings were different. I have 7 children. Neither one of my birthing those children were the same. So their deaths were not the same.
mm-hmm.
Joshua was worldwide news. Everybody saw, everybody knew. So now I felt like I needed to hide even more because how do
Are you
you,
comfortable sharing the story
Joshua,
or not?
my
Mm-hmm.
son, my son is Joshua Brown, who was killed in Dallas, Texas, who was the witness to Botham Jean's um,
Mm,
at his trial. And he was killed 12 days after that very trial.
mm,
So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, my life was a living hell. Reporters, phone calls, you name it. Um, and all I'm trying to realize is like, do these people realize I've lost a child? I remember calling after that morning. I remember calling Dr. Vicky, and she was, Leslie answered the phone, and Leslie's like, well, Dr. Vicky is speaking. I was like, well, can you have her call me, whatever. And it's like I had these people in my life that I call, and I have certain people that I can break down. Like I give you this, and if I fall, you can catch me, and I'm okay falling, right? So Dr. Vicky was there 17 years ago. That's how we met 17 years ago when Tanika died. And I thought God had Dr. Vicky in my life for then. Dr. Vicky came into my life for October the 4th, 2019. That was when
mm,
needed someone to stand there. That was when I needed someone to say, hey, hold on, I'm gonna call you right back. And when she called back, it was a party line of people, and they saved
mm,
my whole, like, man, when I tell you they saved my whole life with keeping me
mm,
covered with the information and things that they gave me, because they knew how to navigate the media. They knew how to navigate the things. And so
mm,
that helped. Um, but it was still hard because here it is, you're trying to grieve and you're trying to get your son, like, what happened and all the things.
mm,
All people want to know is what they want to know. And then they're listening to the media, and that
mm.
thing that people could have did, because the media only gives you snippets of things that they
That's right.
want you to come back, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so now this is where I learned how to live again, for sure, for sure. Because
Mm,
I told God, it's like, you told me, weeping may endure for a night. So I got well, then I had 12, 13 years under my belt with knowing that you've kept me from Tanika and Alyssa. I know you got me now, but I'm a little pissed off,
mm,
got to have me again. after, you
Mm-hmm.
know, what's going on. And I asked him, I remember praying, Lord, just keep me covered. Like, please
Mm-hmm.
don't let the world uncover the blanket. The thing that saved me
Mm-hmm.
was I got married. So, as my friend Monique liked to say, I'm the real Karen McCoy. And so my name was different. The people that got to me because if whatever was on social media, I was tag connected. So those people got to me, but I was really, really covered from the media. Did we have to do a song and dance? Yeah. Did family get called and all the things? Yeah. But between me and my daughter, I call her daughter number two, which is Nicole. She's the real strategist. We maneuvered and made things where it needed to happen, and we did. We got it done. But keep in mind, Joshua's death was a three-ring circus. It was hard to know that my son stood up for what was right and was killed for doing what was right. And
Absolutely.
contrary to what Monday brought on when they wanted to blame it on a drug deal gone bad, right?
Mm,
Got to get it off of us. So let's do this. This is what it is. When now 5 years, so it's 5 years ago,
mm,
January of this year, I finally got to grieve, Kelly, this year.
mm, mm.
January of this year was the final for the people that, that actually did the kill that murdered him.
They murdered him. Uh-huh.
They're all in jail, all sentenced. And I didn't, God, this is where the blanket of covering is still covering me. We didn't have to go through a trial because they told the story of what they did and how they, came to,
Mm,
rob him and do all the things. Um, and all I wanted was to just the truth to be revealed now. It's like,
right.
y'all know the truth now. Can y'all like clear my son's name? That's all I want.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I can never have him back. But when his children, he has three children, when his children
Mm,
Google his name, when his nieces and nephew Google his name, all they see is what
mm.
they said.
What the hmm But
So
he was vindicated finally, right? This was it's cleared finally now. His name is
well,
cleared.
they didn't do it publicly. They didn't do it publicly. So I wanted them to do
Mm.
it worldwide, publicly, like they
Like
did
they had done
on
with the
that Monday.
news. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's okay. It's okay. God will make sure that his name is mentioned in every room that my feet step in. Um,
Yes,
Everyone will know that Joshua stood up for what was right.
that's right.
And
That's right. And lost his life for it.
right. And mothers, if you're raising children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your children might come to you and ask you what to do. And not the last conversation, but the conversation before all of the trial and stuff, he's like, what should I do? What should I do? And I was like, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. He's like, but I don't want her to get away. But that's what you need to, pray and ask God to lead and guide you on what to do. Um, some days I wish I could go back and tell him, no, don't do it. But would that have been right? I don't, I mean, we can only go in hindsight. So I don't live in the what ifs, because if you live in the what ifs of life, you kind of drive yourself crazy. So I used to write these scripts, and I tell people that know me, I used to write scripts for Lifetime, y'all, and this is not for real, but in my head, I wrote Lifetime
Okay.
scripts. I'm gonna give you a
I love
script,
that.
Kelly. I'm gonna give Dia a script. I'm gonna
Love
give,
it.
and I want y'all to follow that script because this is my movie,
Mm.
my life, right? And you need to follow my script. But how did
Mm-hmm.
you know? People never do what you tell them to do or what you want them to do, right? So I have to
Mm-hmm.
stop thinking, what if this, or what if they say this, or what if I say that, or what's going to happen when I start talking? I had to let that go.
Mm.
I asked God, what is it that you want me to do with this? Because I know that you birthed me on February 17, 1968 for a reason.
That's right.
So when Dee asked me, were there some off limit questions?
Hmm.
Choked a little bit, and then I was like, no, because I'm on assignment for God.
On
And
assignment for God.
this is God's business. This isn't Karen's business. I'm just the
Mm,
vessel that he uses on this journey. And in that, I tell parents, make sure in life, like for me, mine just happened to be when I'm talking to mothers who have lost children, because I counsel mothers who have lost children to death, right? And before my children, I was a motivational speaker to mothers who wanted to do all the things because, you can do all the things and still be a mother. And at the time, I was a single mother doing all the things with my Superman cape and all that stuff on. I've since got rid of all that. I'm not Superman. Some days I fall. Some days I fall on my knees and I'd be like, Lord, if you don't pick me up, I ain't getting up today.
that's right. And we have to take the cape off.
Have
Such
to.
a fallacy. Hmm.
Right, right. So when you look at it, I had to rediscover myself. I had to
Hmm.
renew my joy, and I had to
Hmm.
redeem my life,
Mm.
right? Because death of two children had taken so much from me. And I didn't want to, I was tired of putting on the makeup and getting the hair done, the nails, and putting
Hmm.
on this facade that I was okay, right?
Right, right.
Um, So
Mm.
in 2019, towards the end, that was when COVID and all the things, and I didn't really go anywhere. But um, then when 2020 came and everybody had to come home, I was like, oh God, thank you. Not about COVID, but that I didn't have to really hide. Everybody was home now. I could kind of breathe and didn't have to worry
Yes,
about nobody coming to my house. It didn't like it was like,
yes.
okay, we're all on equal footing now.
Hmm.
And then the
Hmm.
news would come on, and then I would see people were losing their loved ones and they couldn't even be with them. And then I got a sense of, oh my God. So I got a sense of loss. And
Hmm.
2020 was when the three renew your joy, no, renew your joy, rediscover who you are, and reclaim your life was born. Because after COVID, well, still not after COVID, but somewhere in there, I decided I wanted to move. And they say when you're grieving, don't make life decisions. I was like, well, I kind of made life decision in 2018. I wanted to move before then. But I told my husband, it's just like, yeah, I want to move, kind of let's do something, right? And he had been saying no all these years. And this one in particular day, I was like, yeah, when the people up the street sold a house for X amount of dollars, whatever. He's like, you did? Well, let's put the house on the market and see what, let's kind of test the waters. That was on a Monday. I called a realtor Monday afternoon. She was at the house on Wednesday. The house went up for open house on Friday. The house was sold on Sunday.
Wow. All
I
God's
think
plan.
God is in this. God is in this. This is
Hmm.
my time. This is not a grief
That's
thing.
it.
It's my time.
Absolutely.
I was so happy to move. I miss Colorado because I moved from Colorado Springs. Um, I left the twins there, but I came here and in 2022, no, where are we now? 2022. God, time is flying. In 2022, we moved, we bought the ranch. We bought 10 and a half acres here in Clayton, right?
Back, so you moved from Colorado back to Clayton, Alabama on a ranch. You bought a ranch?
Bought 10
That's
and a half.
amazing.
So it's 10 and a half acres, and I call it Easy Living Ranch. My son was starting a clothing line, and he wanted it to be called Easy Living. So when we moved here, I was like, when looked around, walked around 10 and a half acres of nothing but pure beauty. And I was like, oh, this is easy living. So it's Easy Living Ranch. And I thought it was very, very interesting that last week I was on the call and she said when she tells people her son used to say be easy. And I was like, oh wow. And here we are. I'm on Easy Living Ranch. And my
Easy living ranch.
yeah, so you get the messages. I get the messages and I take them in
Hmm.
stride when I walk,
Hmm.
talking. And my trees, I always tell people when I'm on the phone, I was like,
Mm.
trees are agreeing with you because they're blowing, they're moving. Like literally right now,
Mm.
there's a gentle breeze. I can see some of the limbs just like
Hmm.
clapping. It's like the ancestors are just clapping
Yes. Yes.
know? So
Yes.
that's where I gain my joy and my strength from, is walking
Mm,
forward, even knowing that some days I don't even want to get up and wash my face. I don't even want to get up and
yes.
take a shower. I don't want to do any of it. And so God has given me 10.5 acres that if I don't
Mm,
do it, I don't have to.
right.
So
And you can be peaceful about that. And like you said, easy.
easy. Easy. So I
Mhm.
don't feel paralyzed any longer. I can
I
talk
love
about it
that.
without really choking. Like I'll stumble a little bit and get, because
Yes.
it's my story. It's my children. And losing two
Mhm.
children, it does break my heart. But I told God, it's like, whatever you want me to do, I promise you I'm going to do it, because I still have 5 children and I don't want to do this
Yes,
anymore. Okay.
that's right.
So whatever you want me to do, whatever you want me to say, whoever you want me to talk to, I'm good. Just don't
Mm,
please don't take any more of my children. I have two
mhm.
grandmothers that are close to 100 years old. Not that I want him to take them, but this is how I sit over here. I'm literally in my studio right now, and paint all the things. When I get upset and I get to having these, I call them demonic thoughts. I slap paint on paper, and that has saved my whole sanity. And that's how I basically rediscovered who I am as Karen McCoy. Because like my husband, excuse me, my husband and his mother and all of them, he's like, oh, that's my son's wife. Or, that's William's wife. And I'd be like, no, I'm Karen McCoy. I have a name, I have a purpose, I am who I am outside of being his wife, who I am outside of being
Mhm.
children's mother, who I am just outside of
Yes,
everybody else. Like, who am I? And so
yes.
that's how I had to figure it out. I had to rediscover who I was, right? Who is she? Like, I
That's
had to
it.
ask myself. So like a mother is on here now, ask yourself, who are you outside of the titles? Who are you outside of
That's
being
it.
your children's, provider, all, because you're the everything. But
Right.
when
Who
you're
are
next,
we almost from birth? Like, who did
who,
we begin our life as? Because that's
absolutely,
really who we are, like as our
absolutely,
child self, I believe. Who we
absolutely,
are at 5 is who we are at 55, 58, 75. That's who we really are in our core. And I love that
absolutely.
question, to ask yourself, who are you? I think that's a brilliant question. You are, so many people have said your resilience is incredible, like having gone through the unthinkable pain that you have gone through
Mhm.
and experienced, for you to be able to be here with us and show up every day and have easy living and be there for so many of your family and all the extended family. And Dr. Vicky, like, you as an angel to me too, and so many of us. And
Mhm.
grateful she invited you and introduced us to you. Your story is powerful and um, inspirational. And there's somebody that has their hand up. So please feel free to come off of mute if you'd like to ask a question or have a comment. You can hit *6 to come off of mute. Good
Hello, thank you
morning.
so much. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Welcome.
I I am incredibly impressed by your resilience, but also your ability to rest when you need to. Because I know we talk a lot about resilience as if we're robots. Just be resilient, be resilient. But you also have to rest and reset. I'm interested in knowing how you deal with the injustice around your son's passing, um, because it feels to me that it's more injurious that you have to be quiet or about it, or not that you have to be quiet about it, but that you went through this process and they didn't vindicate him publicly as you deserved and as they should have, in the same manner they slandered the story publicly. They didn't really him that vindication publicly. So, do you sometimes feel the responsibility to champion for your son, to tell the truth of the story when you speak about it? And then my second thing is that I've started this community on TikTok, and I didn't know that in doing so, I thought I was just going to talk to business owners about business and success stories. But in that, I ended up getting 5 mothers who have lost children to gun violence. And I'm always wondering, how do I serve them? How do I help them when that's not my experience, but I want to be there for them. I don't want to be remiss to understand the sensitivity of what they're going through. And so also I wonder, what is the most impactful way that someone has helped you to navigate this? Somebody who doesn't understand it firsthand, but just wants to help, but doesn't want to help in the wrong way.
Thank you for your question, and thank you for your compliment. To answer your first question, do I feel like I need to be all things for Joshua? No, I don't. I did coming out the gate. I came out running. I came out not publicly, but I wanted to. And I remember my daughter's words. She was just like, when it's time for you to talk, you're going to talk about him as your son. And I was just like, but she would go back to it and say, no, you're going to talk about him as your son. Now that got piggybacked off of on down the line, on down the years. And it's lessened. So no, it's not my fight. And I believe that God will reveal, uncover all the things in his time. And when he do it, I'm going to be at a place to where I can be like, oh, okay, because I can't be boastful and I can't be happy and I can't like all the hate and pain that I have inside. That's not where God wants me to be. Like, I still have to forgive these 3 people, and I'm working on that. And I believe God is going to give me time to really forgive these people who were orchestrated this. And so, no, I can't spend time on something that I wasn't born to do. And fighting for my son's justice, that's not my fight. But will I be in the line as it go forward? I will. But there are people that are fighting that fight, and I'm not on the front line of that. And the second question is, do something for them that maybe other people aren't doing for them. Ask them what they want. I like when people ask me what I want and don't try to tell me what they want. And so if you don't know how to navigate the mothers, first of all, being that they've lost, and then to gun violence, I would suggest just ask them, what do you want? What would you like me to help you to do? Because you're not a parent who has suffered that, you can go and do certain things that they probably can't think about doing. So just ask them what they want.
Thank you for that. And I love that, asking people what they want, because we don't know, and especially if we haven't experienced the kind of unthinkable tragedy that you've experienced. So thank you for sharing that. There's another woman with her hand up, it looks like. You'd like to come off of mute.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And my name is Nicole. It's good to see you, Mother. It's daughter number 2 and daughter number 3. Hello. We just want to tell you we are very proud of you, and you spoke well. And we pray that it encourages someone else on their journey of life. We so proud of you.
Oh.
Thank you, Miss Kelly. Y'all have a good morning.
Oh, it's beautiful. Gosh, I'm crying over here too.
This one I don't wear makeup because I know it's gonna come up at some point.
I put lashes on yesterday for the wedding. Same reason. No mascara. I just knew. Oh, that's beautiful. What a blessing. Beautiful. Thank you for coming on and sharing that.
I think
Oh,
I
you
saw
have
a question
okay.
that popped up real quick and asks, is art a natural gift? I think that's what Dr. Vicky asked.
Yes, she did.
It actually is. I just didn't realize it that I was born with this. But Kelly, you had said something, and that's what I was going to say something too. You said something about the 5-year-old you. And that's where the rediscovering came from. I went back and asked all those questions of myself. And I went back to when I did have joy and when I was happy. And it was
Yes.
I paint on paper real young. And then somewhere down the
Mm,
line, you know how the adults say, find something constructive to do. And so
that's
art
right.
got thrown on the back burner. And so
Mm,
when Joshua was killed, I was
mm,
reintroduced to my passion. So
yes.
yeah,
So it's a gift and it's natural and it's something that brought you back to your childhood.
it's a
And
gift.
also,
And yeah,
hmm hmm And so when you talk about joy, and finding joy, especially in the midst of tragedy, what does that mean for you? What does joy mean for you at this
well,
point in your life?
ooh, Joy, look, Joy, you saw what they just did. That's joy for
Yes,
the day. That
absolutely.
joy right there is
Mm,
like you can't buy that, right?
no.
And to know that you have your children that still motivate you to
Hmm.
joy. But joy means to me is showing up no matter how emotional I am.
Hmm.
I refuse to give in, and therefore it gives me joy even to show up in a place where I know I'm going to possibly be very vulnerable and cry, shed some tears, but it gives
That's
me
it.
joy because I know that I am doing the thing that
Mm,
I hate to say I was born to do, because then that means that I was born to lose children, but God knew what my life was going to be before my mother
that's
and
it.
father even conceived me. So and I get a lot of joy. Like I said, my joy really comes, I get out of a bad place by
Mm,
slapping paint on paper,
mm.
for sure.
Love that. Slapping paint on paper. And some of your artwork is on your website, which is beautiful. So if people want to support, and we love to support people that come here, KarenMcCoy.com. It's spelled Karen, Karen, and then McCoy is McCoy.com. It's in the chat as well. And you are a beautiful, amazing, resilient, powerful person. I'm so grateful to have met you.
Thank you,
Really
Kelly.
am. I really deeply mean that. And so thank you for being here. Before we close out, I want to make sure if anybody or ask if anybody else has any final questions or comments for Karen this morning. Someone said, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm honored to be in this room to see you and trusting God on your journey. I agree with that. You are a blessing. And we are actually pulling together a very informal get together for our Sunrise Village. We say retreat, but it's not quite a retreat. It's a come to town, come to the DMV if you're interested. And we're going to do some activities, but not in a big room, nothing that people have to do. Like you said, like peaceful, simple. One of the activities may be a painting event. So we'd love to have you join us. If we do that, we'll let you know. Not if, we are going to do that in December. So more to come on that. And would love to do some sort of painting or slapping paint on paper or something. But more to come on that. But thank you again for being here. Do you have any final words you'd like to share, Karen, before Dr. Vicky closes us out?
I do. The one thing I wanted to share, and it woke me up at literally 4 o'clock this morning, and so I had to
Mm-hmm.
write it down. But I want to tell mothers that are on here and others that are on here, don't spend a whole lot of time planning. Spend a whole lot of time. Don't talk about the vacation, take one. Whatever you are doing with your kids, if you can do it, then do it. After all, tomorrow's not promised, and the next second isn't promised either. Love on your kids today.
Beautiful. I am speechless. And thank you. So full of joy listening to that, listening to you. Thank you for sharing. So, Dr. Vicky, if you can close us out with a prayer on this beautiful day.
Absolutely. Karen, I am so proud of you. I say that to you all the time. I also just celebrate your resilience and your courage. And just thank you for being here. Not just today, but thank you for being here. God, we thank you for this day. Thank you for Karen, her journey and her experiences. Thank you for the SonRise Project. God, thank you for continued grace, mercy, and favor. Thank you for the mothers that are on this call who today got a renewed sense of purpose as mothers. Thank you for courage to show up so that we can continue to live in our joy, because you said in your word that your joy is our strength. So thank you for renewed joy, helping us to reclaim our joy, helping us to rediscover who we are so that we can live out our purpose with joy. Now bless us as we go forward into this day. Keep us safe and bring us back together again next Sunday at 9 a.m. Thank you for this community, for every mother, every father that is represented. And we bless you for it. In your name we pray. Amen. Have a powerful day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that, Dr. Vicky, as always. Love you, and everybody that's here, have an amazing day. Thank you, Karen, again.
Thank
Have a
you,
beautiful
Kelli.
day. Take
You
care.
too.